From translation, NIV New International Version, this 119th day of the year, today we are reading passages 2 Kings 23-25, 2 Kings chapter 23, verses 1 to 37. The king summoned all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem. The king went up to the temple of the Lord with all the people of Judah and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem. The king stood by the pillar and renewed the covenant in the presence of the Lord, to follow the Lord and keep his commands, regulations and decrees with all his heart and all his soul, thus confirming the words of the covenant written in this book. Then all the people pledged themselves to the covenant. The king ordered Hilkiah the high priest and the priests of the second rank, and the gatekeepers to remove from the Lord's temple all the articles made for Baal and Asherah and all the starry hosts. He had all these burned outside Jerusalem in the fields of the Kidron Valley, and took the ashes to Bethel. He did away with the pagan priests appointed by the kings of Judah to burn incense on the high places of the towns of Judah, and those who incensed people on the high places, and throughout Jerusalem, and those who consulted mediums and spiritists. In the towns of Judah he removed the idolatrous priests who had been appointed by the kings of Judah to burn incense on the high places of the towns of Judah. He demolished these high places from Jebah to Beersheba, breaking down the high places of the gates that were at the entrance of the city gate of Joshua, the governor of the city, which were on the left of the city gate. He also tore down the quarters of the shrine prostitutes, which were in the temple of the Lord, and where women did weaving for Asherah. Josiah brought all the priests from the towns of Judah and defiled the high places, from Jebah to Beersheba, where the priests had burned incense. He broke down the gateway at the entrance of the gate of Joshua, the governor of the city, which was on the left of the city gate. Although the priests of the high places did not serve at the altar of the Lord in Jerusalem, they ate unleavened bread with their fellow priests. Josiah desecrated Topheth, which in the valley of Ben Hinnom, no one could use a son or daughter in the fire to Moloch. He removed the horses that the kings of Judah had dedicated to the sun, and burned the chariots dedicated to the sun. He pulled down the altars the kings of Judah had built on the roof near the upper room of Ahaz, and one that Manasseh had built in the 2 courts of the temple of the Lord. He removed them from there, smashed them to pieces, and threw the rubble into the Kidron Valley. The king also desecrated the high places that were east of Jerusalem on the south of the hill of corruption, the ones Solomon king of Israel had built for Ashtoreth the vile goddess of the Sidonians, for Chemosh the vile god of Moab, and for Moloch the detestable god of the Ammonites. Josiah smashed the sacred stones, and cut down the Asherah poles, and covered the sites with human bones. Even the altar at Bethel, the high place made by Jeroboam son of Nebat, who had caused Israel to sin, he demolished it, according to the word of the Lord the God of Israel proclaimed by the man of God, who proclaimed these things. Then Josiah looked, and the tombstone over the grave of the man of God who had proclaimed these things was there in Bethel. The old prophet who had brought him back from Judah saw it. When he saw the tombstone, he said, "What is this I see?" The men of the city told him, "It's the tombstone of the man of God who proclaimed against the altar of Bethel and against all the high places in the towns of Bethel." Then the old prophet said, "I am the one who prophesied against the altar of Bethel and all the high places in the towns of Bethel, and your grave will be in the tomb of the man of God, for your bones will not be moved from the place where you will die." Just as he had done at Bethel, Josiah removed all the shrines at the high places that the kings of Israel had built in the towns of Samaria and that had made Israel sin. He did to them all the things he had done at Bethel. He slaughtered all the priests of the high places who were there on the altars, and burned human bones on them. Then he went back to Jerusalem. The king gave this order to all the people: "Celebrate the Passover to the Lord your God, as it is written in this book of the covenant." Not since the days of the judges who led Israel had any such Passover been observed, nor had any such Passover been celebrated since the days of Joshua son of Nun. But in the 18th year of King Josiah, this Passover was celebrated to the Lord in Jerusalem. Furthermore, Josiah got rid of the mediums and spiritists, the household gods, the idols, and all the other detestable things seen in Judah and Jerusalem. This he did to fulfill the requirements of the law written in the book his high priest Hilkiah had discovered in the temple of the Lord. Neither before nor after Josiah was there a king like him who turned to the Lord as he did, with all his heart, and with all his soul, and with all his strength, in accordance with all the law of Moses. Nevertheless, the Lord did not turn from the heat of his fierce anger, which burned against Judah, because of all that Manasseh had done to provoke him to anger. So the Lord said, "I will remove Judah also from my presence as I removed Israel, and I will reject Jerusalem, the city I chose, and this temple about which I said, 'There shall my name be.'" As for the other events of Josiah's reign and all he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt, went up to fight at Carchemish on the Euphrates, and King Josiah marched out to meet him in battle. But Necho sent messengers to him, saying, "What quarrel is there, king of Judah, between you and me? It is not you I am attacking at this time, but the house with which I am at war. God has told me to hurry. So stop opposing God, who is with me, or he will destroy you." Josiah, however, would not turn away from him, but disguised himself to engage him in battle. He did not listen to what Necho had said at God's command, but went to fight him on the plain of Megiddo. Archers shot King Josiah, and he told his officers, "Take me away. I am badly wounded." They took him out of his chariot, put him in his other chariot, and brought him to Jerusalem, where he died. He was buried in the tombs of his ancestors, and all Judah and Jerusalem mourned for him. Pharaoh Necho put him on a chariot and sent him to Egypt, where he died. Pharaoh Necho made Eliakim son of Josiah king in place of his father Josiah, and changed Eliakim's name to Jehoiakim. But he took Jehoahaz and sent him to Egypt, where he died. Jehoiakim paid Pharaoh Necho the silver and gold he demanded. In order to do so, he taxed the land and exacted the silver and gold from the people of the land according to their assessments. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 11 years. His mother's name was Zebudah, daughter of Pedaiah. She was from Rumah. And he did evil in the eyes of the Lord, just as his predecessors had done. 2 Kings chapter 24, verses 1 to 20. During Jehoiakim's reign, Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon invaded the land, and Jehoiakim became his vassal for 3 years. But then he turned and rebelled against Nebuchadnezzar. The Lord sent Babylonian, Aramean, Moabite, and Ammonite raiders against Jehoiakim to destroy Judah, according to the word the Lord had proclaimed through his servants the prophets. Surely these things happened to Judah according to the Lord's command, in order to remove Judah from his presence, because of the sins of Manasseh and all he had done, including the shedding of innocent blood. For the blood of the innocent filled Jerusalem, the Lord would not forgive. As for the other events of Jehoiakim's reign and all he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? Jehoiakim rested with his ancestors, and Jehoiachin his son succeeded him as king. The king of Egypt never regained control of his territory again, because the king of Babylon had taken from him the territory from the Wadi of Egypt to the Euphrates River. Jehoiachin was 18 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months. His mother's name was Nehushta, daughter of Elnathan. She was from Jerusalem. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, just as his father had done. At that time, the officers of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, advanced on Jerusalem and attacked it. Nebuchadnezzar himself came up to the city while his officers were besieging it. Jehoiachin, king of Judah, his mother, his attendants, his officials, and his officers surrendered to him. In the 8th year of the reign of the king of Babylon, he took Jehoiachin prisoner. As for the temple of the Lord, the king carried off from it all the treasures of the temple of the Lord and the treasures of the royal palace. He cut up all the gold articles that Solomon king of Israel had made for the temple of the Lord. He carried into exile all Jerusalem, all the officials and men of importance, the craftsmen and artisans, all of them. He took them to Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar took Jehoiachin to Babylon. Also taken to Babylon were the king's mother, his wives, his officials, and the leading men of the land, mighty men of valor, 10,000 in all. The king of Babylon also carried to Babylon all the skilled workers, of whom there were 710, and all the blacksmiths and metalworkers. Nebuchadnezzar also carried into exile the rest of the population of Jerusalem, all the officials and all the mighty men of valor, 10,000 in all, and all the skilled craftsmen and artisans. The king of Babylon made Mattaniah, Jehoiachin's uncle, king in his place, and changed his name to Zedekiah. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 11 years. His mother's name was Hamutal, daughter of Jeremiah. She was from Libnah. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, just as Jehoiakim had done. It was because of the Lord's anger that all this happened to Jerusalem and Judah, and in the end he thrust them from his presence. Now Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon. 2 Kings chapter 25, verses 1 to 30. So in the 9th year of Zedekiah's reign, on the 10th day of the 10th month, Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon marched against Jerusalem with his whole army. They encamped outside the city and built siege works all around it. The city was under siege until the 11th year of King Zedekiah. By the 9th day of the 4th month, the famine in the city had become so severe that there was no food for the people to eat. Then the city wall was broken through, and the whole army fled at night through the gate between the 2 walls near the king's garden, though the Babylonians were surrounding the city. They fled toward the Arabah. But the Babylonian army pursued the king and overtook Zedekiah in the plains of Jericho, All his troops were separated from him and dispersed. The Babylonians captured the king and brought him to the king of Babylon at Riblah, where they pronounced sentence on him. They killed the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes. Then they put out his eyes, bound him with bronze shackles, and took him to Babylon. On the 7th day of the 5th month, in the 19th year of Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, Nebuzaradan, commander of the imperial guard, an official of the king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem. He set fire to the temple of the Lord, the royal palace, and all the houses of Jerusalem. Every important building he burned down. The whole Babylonian army, under the commander of the imperial guard, broke down the walls around Jerusalem. Nebuzaradan, the commander of the guard, carried into exile the people who remained in the city, along with those who had deserted to the king of Babylon and the rest of the skilled workers. But the commander of the guard left some of the poorest people of the land to be vineyard farmers and field workers. The Babylonians broke up the bronze pillars, the movable stands, and the sea that were at the temple of the Lord, and carried all the bronze to Babylon. They also took away the pots, shovels, wick trimmers, dishes, and all the bronze articles used in the temple worship. The commander of the guard took away the censers and sprinkling bowls, all that were made of pure gold or silver. The bronze from the 2 pillars, the sea, and the 12 bronze bulls that were under the sea could not be weighed. These things, and more like them, were carried away to Babylon. Each pillar was about 27 feet high. The bronze capital on top of one pillar was about 7.5 feet high, and was decorated with a network and pomegranates of bronze all around. The other pillar had the same of bronze. The commander of the guard took Sariah the chief priest, Zephaniah the priest next in rank, and the 3 doorkeepers. From the city he took 1 official who was over the fighting men, 5 royal advisers, the secretary of the commander of the army, who mustered the people of the land, and 60 of the people from the land who were found in the city. Nebuzaradan the commander took them all, and brought them to the king of Babylon at Riblah. There at Riblah, in the land of Hamath, the king had them executed. So Judah went into captivity, away from her land. Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon appointed Gedaliah son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, to be over the people he had left in the land of Judah. When all the army officers and their men heard that the king of Babylon had appointed Gedaliah as governor, they came to Gedaliah at Mizpah, Ishmael son of Nethaniah, Johanan son of Kareah, Sariah son of Tanhumeth the Netophathite, and Jaazaniah the son of the Markathite, and their men. Gedaliah son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, took an oath to give them their lives and swore to them, "Do not be afraid of the Babylonian officials. Stay in the land and serve the king of Babylon, and it will go well with you." But in the 7th month, Ishmael son of Nethaniah, the son of Elishama, who was of royal blood, came with 10 men and assassinated Gedaliah, and also the men of Judah and the Babylonians who were with him at Mizpah. Then all the people from the least to the greatest, together with the army officers, fled to Egypt for fear of the Babylonians. In the 37th year of the exile of Jehoiachin king of Judah, in the year Evil-Merodach became king of Babylon, he released Jehoiachin king of Judah from prison on the 27th day of the 12th month. He spoke kindly to him, and gave him a seat of honor higher than those of the other kings who were with him in Babylon. So Jehoiachin put aside his prison clothes, and for the rest of his life ate regularly at the king's table. Day by day the king gave him a regular allowance as long as he lived.